been a very, very busy little time right now. We're almost to the holidays. So I do want to talk about how to, make shifts during the holidays that are going to really help as well. Excuse me, goodness. Okay, so let's talk. So one of the things I wanted to do today is I had asked you guys for, what are you struggling with in the last week? And many of you gave me lots of different things that you had going on. So what I thought I would do today is to take a look, kind of go through each of those individually and hopefully give you some suggestions to be able to make some shifts to make things easier for you. So let me start by saying, you guys, that one of the things that people will think as far as manifestation goes is that manifestation should just be all easy, right? Kittens and roses and unicorns and so forth. And I've mentioned it before. This isn't always easy. Like, I created this system to make things easier for you so that you could figure out what was that root cause of why you keep hitting a wall at a certain point when you're trying to manifest, and why do you have this pattern of finding the same kind of people in your life, or whatever it might be, right? And so that does make it a good deal easier, and you will shift out of those patterns. But when we're looking to manifest some larger things, or we're looking to shift things like pain, disease, weight, those kinds of things, sometimes it can happen, especially with pain, it can happen pretty instantly when we understand the root of the issue. However, sometimes it can take a bit, and especially when we're looking at larger things. So I was just working with the people in my practitioner certification this week on thinking through, like, what was the number that they wanted for the year? Like, what number would make them feel like, as an income level, that would feel amazing. And it was great because they all came up with a number, and then we did a meditation, and kind of for all of them, the number went up a bit. Now, does that mean that number happens instantly just because we want that number right that minute? Maybe it's $100,000 or whatever it might be. Maybe it's more than that, considerably more than that. It's whatever it might be for you that's going to make you feel financially calm and satisfied and fulfilled, right? And so that doesn't necessarily happen overnight, but all the work does happen. The thing is, though, happens every time as we shift, we will hit these points where we feel like we get stuck, where we have struggles, where we have healing crises that we're not expecting. And so when I saw the notes that you guys thankfully shared with me, and thank you so much for sharing them about your struggles, I thought, okay, a lot of these really sound like you guys have been doing the work now for a little bit. And they really sounded to me like a lot of situations where it's very predictably some healing crises. So what we are going to do now is, let me go into here, and I'm going to pull up let's go down here. So I'm just singing to myself. I had it pulled up. There it is. Okay. I had it pulled up. Okay. All right. So Heather, okay. You and I went back and forth, but I'd love to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the struggle that you shared, which I really appreciate you sharing. And I know that is, needless to say, very difficult and stressful. So, and then I'm going to go through all of them and just see what I can do that I can hopefully help with all this. So Heather said, my husband has multiple pulmonary embolism and his heart is stressed. This started August 31st. His heart is inflamed because of it, and it is steadily going downhill. He wants me at his side 24/7, which is very stressful all around for everyone. I'm struggling with compassion for his inability to try and fight his anxiety through this, and he wants me to fix it. Yeah. I mean, I know that's the hard thing. She's thankfully doing a good job of taking care of herself, getting healing energy, acupuncture, and chiro care. So I'm very, very glad for that. And I know I wrote you back and I was like, hey, which side is this, and so forth. So one in the saddle, I'm not sure what that means. So she said there was multiple ones, both side, and one in the saddle. Okay. His right ventricle is inflamed, as one of the many clots is making it work harder. His left lung has damaged tissue from it inside. Okay. So Heather, first off, obviously for you, this is obviously a very serious issue, and you are in a situation where you're trying to help your husband get through something very scary, very difficult. Whenever we look at heart issues of any kind, we know that we're dealing with emotions. A lot of times for men, it's blocked emotions. So when I see a right ventricle inflamed, that's a lot of anger towards a male in his life. So it can be, a brother, a son. It can be someone else that's a male in his life. Can be a business partner. I've seen that happen as well. So his right ventricle is inflamed. So the right ventricle is obviously where the heart, like the blood goes in and out, right? Or is the ventricle let me think, is that hang on, guys. I'm thinking not not sure if I have the terminology right on that. Hang on one sec. Ventricle. Okay. Bear with me while I look that up. I couldn't remember. Oh, it's the cavity in the, or okay. Right ventricle. That's the heart part. I'm thinking of wow, guys, my brain's not working entirely today, but that's okay. I'm getting there. So the right ventricle, and let's just look up really quickly the job of the right ventricle. Is that the in or the out? I can't remember right now. Right ventricle function. There we go. Right ventricle. Yeah. Pumps blood flow and oxygen to the lungs. Okay, so it's pumping the oxygen to the lungs. Okay, so the inflammation and the anger that he's feeling right now about a male in his life is not allowing him to fully breathe in life. This is something that is constricting. The fact that there's the clot is built up emotional energy that he's not expressed and probably has been holding on to for a long time. So hopefully some of that may be helpful to you as you are dealing with what's going on with that. Let me go back to exactly what you said. Multiple ones on both sides. So it's a lot of inflammation on both sides. So the left lung also has damaged tissue. All right. So the damaged tissue in the left lung is going to be related. So I don't know if there's something with a female in his life where he feels like in some way that the female is kind of damaging this ability to fully breathe in all of his emotions, or maybe he's been disagreeing with decisions from the female. Again, that can be you as the spouse, or it could be, a sister, a daughter, etc. It feels like the two are very related though. So it would probably be whatever's going on with the male in his life that's causing him to feel angry and inflamed and like blocked. Then there's some aspect of that also is connected with the female in his life. Now, as far as for you, I know that is like so stressful because it's obviously your husband. I am very glad to hear that you are doing some good self-care, taking care of yourself, which I'm very happy about. Let me see. I'm going to post in here because I'm a little afraid that the Zoom link might not be working for people. So, okay, hopefully you guys see this afterwards, and I will do so much better. On making sure that I get these out to you ahead of time. And I also email them out. I'm so bad at remembering to email things, you guys. I don't know what it is, but I do have a wonderful assistant who can start taking care of that for me, and I will do that. So he's great. He can do that too. Okay. So yeah. So, I think that with you and with needing to pull back, I would really recommend, you're in the body language program. Yeah, you're in the body language program. So there's a meditation called Releasing Worry and Anxiety for a Good Night's Sleep, I think is what it's called. So if that one would be super helpful for you if you did that at night, if you just literally listen to that as you went to sleep. It helps you to sort of drop everything that you're carrying, and it will help bring down that worry and anxiety cycle that you're in right now. And also, I think because so much of what is happening for him is very stressful and also so connected to emotions, and you are going to be like kind of his grounding person right now, I'm sure that he is clinging to you a little bit more than normal. But obviously it is important for you to keep getting some space and maybe there's somebody else in your life that could come in. Like if you say, okay, I'm going to go get a coffee for myself or whatever like that. Maybe there's somebody else in your life, a friend of his could come in and hang out with him for an hour and, chat, just have a really good talk. And that would actually be really nourishing to his emotional self. So I don't know if you can make like a list of people in his life that like nourish him emotionally and have them sort of on call to reach out to him and help, but that would probably be helpful. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful on that struggle. Molly. Yeah, I'm struggling with going to food when stressed, even though I don't taste, and feeling overwhelmed. And so Molly, I had written you back, and then I can also send you a separate note as well. And what I said was, you're trying to nourish yourself when you're not being nourished outside of yourself. And as I was saying there, that's like a very reasonable thing to do, right? When we are not getting the nourishment we need from people around us, and usually that nourishment is in the form of unconditional love, acceptance, support, all of those things, then it's very reasonable to want to supplement that for yourself with something else that nourishes you, with food, right? It makes total sense. Like, why wouldn't we go to something else that nourishes us? And the thing is, like, that's where it can be also different for different people. So that's where you'll see people finding other things to do that like sort of nourish them, whether it's like, I'll see people that like go to gambling, or usually drink and drugs are not so much nourishment as trying to shut down. They're usually highly empathic people that have just been through something traumatic, or indeed too much trauma of some sort, and the pain is too heavy and they can't shut it off, or they don't know how to shut off their empath nature in that case. Anyways, so it makes complete sense when we're not being nourished emotionally from outside ourselves, we go and look for something else outside ourselves that is nourishing. So even though you're not tasting right now, and I know that's something we've been working on, and every so often we get the smell and taste to come back, and then it kind of clamps back down again when you've got like some of these things going on that are not good. Anyways, regardless of whether you can taste or not, it is providing that. So I talk a lot about triggers, right? And patterns in our body. So for you growing up, right, you have that memory of eating things that were probably made you feel nourished. Maybe your mom, or maybe even your dad, or someone else, maybe they took you out for treats or something. And so there's that rote memory within us, whether or not you can taste or smell, there is that rote memory inside you. There's a memory hologram essentially that goes, I need nourishment, bing. And then inside yourself, it goes, I remember being nourished by food. I remember being nourished in this way, right? Like I can remember being taken out for Italian gelato when I would have like some big thing happen in school. Consequently, when I feel like I need some emotional nourishment, gelato sounds very good. Why? Because it's banked in my brain that that's associated with nourishment or treat or celebration, right? So I would ask you to take a look at what food are you drawn to when you want to go to this. Is it like all food, or is it just one or two types of foods? And is that food connected, or that drink connected to some feeling of nourishment that you would have had growing up? Okay. And overall, I would ask you to take a look at where can you, if you're not being nourished enough emotionally from the people right in your space closest to you, then where can you find additional nourishment that's going to just feed you, that you're going to go out, feel appreciated and loved for you, and, truly have that sense of basically that being poured into you where you're feeling very nourished and loved. So those would be the things that would be super helpful. Yeah. And I had in here, do you remember when you first went to food as a comfort thing, or what do you remember a time when you felt very comforted by food? So I'm going to follow up with you. Okay. Olivia, I know you put down, we went back and forth, and I apologize. This week was just crazy. I'm trying to be calm and zen, but I am really anxious and nervous all the time. Everything is annoying me, and I can't forgive myself for screaming at people I care about. And then I said, hey, Olivia, so something has caused triggering you to react in the way you don't want to. What frustration do you have right now that's bubbling over? Okay. And so you said, my personal space is being invaded, that my decisions are not listened to, that when I say something, I have to repeat several times. And I wonder if this is because I'm not expressing myself clearly. For example, at Aikido, I am indicating a thing several times till that command is done the way it is correct. Okay. So I'm wondering if whether it's expressing it correctly in a way that understood by the students, and the same in my personal life. Okay. So here we're having a situation where you're feeling struggle because you're not being heard for what you truly want someone else to do. So there's probably two things going on here, honestly. So one is in the Aikido world, like with your students. So doing Taekwondo myself, I know sometimes when the instructor tells us to do something, I will stare at him for a second because I'm not fully comprehending exactly what he just said to do. It's quite loud in there, and I'd like to do what he said right away, but there may be some extraneous circumstances that are going on that your students are not hearing you or fully aware. Here's what I would recommend in that particular situation, if that's allowed in your dojo. So what I would recommend, I think you're working with kids primarily, and Livia, you can let me know if that's right. What I would recommend is having some sort of a signal that gets the kids' attention so that you're sure they're actually listening to you in that moment, so that you don't have to repeat yourself a bunch of times. So I used to coach a squad of cheerleaders, little cheerleaders from like age 6 to 13, which I absolutely loved. And with them, I would use a little something to just get their attention. Usually they are pretty good, but I would try to get their attention. So it would be, I'd go dun, 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 and then they'd have to respond back. Now you might have something else with a keto that could be helpful, like something, it's like a call and response. So what you're doing is helping them to program into their brain, okay, my teacher wants me to pay attention. And so now I respond. Okay. And now their attention is on you. Right. So I feel like that's a bunch of scattered energy that maybe something like that will start to help pull that together. Honestly, the other way I used to do it is if they happen to really not be listening to me for some reason, I would just get really, really quiet. And so when I got really, really quiet, that oftentimes would also, honestly, I didn't even ever have to raise my voice. I would just get really quiet and kind of stand there and wait for everything to calm down. And you'd see all these little like pairs of cute little eyes suddenly like on me, like, oh, that's weird. Tara's quiet. So, so that helped as well. But I would assume maybe in the Aikido dojo, that would be quite difficult to pull off because it's probably noisy. So I would say try that one. Now, the second thing is in your personal life, I want you to actually take some time and take a look at where are you not having people listen to you, where you feel like you're having to repeat yourself, because you said something about your personal space being invaded. So I guess I would want a little bit more with that. I guess a primary question would be to ask you, like, are you shielding every day? Are you setting your energetic boundaries? Because if you're not, that's going to cause you to be more anxious. That's going to cause you to feel like you don't have appropriate personal space. That's going to cause you to feel worried. It's just basically you've got like way too open energy in that situation. And it causes it also brings people to you that have a tendency towards that. Okay. So try those things. Let me know under the video a little bit more about the personal space issue, because I'm wondering if that's not more of a trigger, maybe from a dating situation or something like that, because you shared something about that before. And I do think that. All right, let's see here. And then, okay. We've got a couple. So Andrea, I know I answered you in here, so I'm going to skip just for time down to Joan. So Joan, you said mostly physical health, eyesight, hearing, both sides, but worse on left, weight, also insomnia, which tends to be worse around full moons and wanting to bring in money. Yeah. Okay. So Joan, I know you've been doing a really good job on keeping up with doing the things, right? The course. And so I would guess a lot of this is just like things you're clearing out along the way here. But so I say what I'd like you to let me know is it that you can't see far, you can't see close, or either? Let me know on that. I'm hearing on both sides, but worse on left. So I guess I would wonder, is there a female in your life that is causing, that you don't like what you're hearing from that person, and they've been coming at you? Usually it's criticism. So it could be yourself criticizing yourself, or it could be someone outside of you that is criticizing you and constantly kind of nagging. I used to live, we had next door neighbors and when we lived in Florida, and the husband was super nice that lived next to us, but the wife was truly, and I really don't say this ever, she was a mean and awful human. She was just not a nice person. And she had this like voice, she just nagged, and she was just mean. Like it was all mean stuff. And I saw the husband outside one day, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And he's, I'm having a lot of problems. My left ear is going deaf. And I thought, I bet it is, because like, it was literally like his ear is just like, I can't take it. I'm just going to go deaf. I don't want to hear this anymore. So I would like you to take a look at, are you criticizing yourself? And so you're shutting it down, or is it something external that's coming in that is causing that? The fact that both sides of the hearing is kind of getting fuzzy, maybe, and this is, maybe you're just hearing a lot in the world as well right now that you kind of want to turn the volume down on. And that's understandable. I've been feeling the same way. My ears are still fine, so apparently I'm okay on that so far. Okay, insomnia, which tends to be worse around the full moons. Yeah, personally, I also find the full moons, I have a lot more insomnia myself. I find that highly sensitive people, that is just true. We just seem to there's something about the moon energy, and when it's really full, and the effects, of course, it has effects on the tides, right? It's obviously having a magnetic effect on us as well. So those of us that are sensitive, that's very possible. But If you can tell me a little bit more about the insomnia, like when are you waking up? What is going through your head when you wake up? You being woken up like in a stress situation? Are you being woken up? What does that look like? Okay. And then wanting to bring in money. Okay. So one thing I want you to shift right there, and this is not a criticism. This is very understandable. I want you to change that word want. Okay. Because if we want to bring in money with them, what happens? We just keep wanting to bring in money, right? If we are bringing in money, that's a very different energy. Okay. So here's what I want you to do, Joan. In the mornings, I want you to get up. I know I think you're doing your future journaling. I want you to find that number in your head. I actually just did this with practitioner students this week. Find a number in your head that's going to make you feel fantastic. And you can have it as a year goal, a quarter goal, whatever you want. Okay. A year goal is good only because it gives sort of a lot of things like the universe some time to sort of realign and make things happen for you. But you can just decide. I want you to decide also that money comes to me in miraculous ways. So that's a retuning statement I would want you to use. I can't remember what your stations were, but this will work regardless. And I would want you to say, like, first off, so write the number down that you think of. Then what I like to do is I'll take the first 3 numbers of that and I will start writing them everywhere. I will start I'll just say to like whatever you believe in, spirit guides, angels, God, whatever is your belief system is fine. Like, hey, this is the number. I want to show confirmation that this is coming in, and start looking for, you'll be amazed. You might start seeing those numbers showing up in like driver's license and other driver's license plates, I should say, or all kinds of unexpected places, on a menu or whatever. The next thing is I want you to say to yourself, money comes to me in miraculous ways. I expect money miracles. Okay. Because I think one of the things for you that we need to shift you out of is like, as I say, like kind of that wanting, and instead being like, it's magic. Money is magic and it's miraculous. So I expect money miracles. I expect everywhere I go, money can't stay away from me. Right. That's one of the ones I use because it took me a long time to really understand that I could charge for my skill set and for the work that I've done, which is an extensive amount of work and the work that I do. But because I tended to be a person who I want to, help the whole world, it took me a long time to understand that energy exchange is okay. Okay. So I'm coming from a place of definite love and definite understanding on this. So I use that one all the time. Like money loves me and it cannot stay away from me, right? It cannot stay. And I'll find a quarter on the ground. Oh, thank you, universe. That's fantastic. So I want you just to start to work on expecting money to show up to you in your life in miraculous ways. Okay. If you can work on that this week and let me know how that goes on next week's call, that would be great. So hopefully, and then I think, oh, you said wait. Okay. So wait also. Okay. So wait has to do with feeling like you need padding from the universe. So it's usually highly sensitive people. I will put on weight when I feel this way as well. And a lot of times it is emotional weight. So it's that we feel like things in the world are coming at us too hard and we just literally need some padding to soften the blows. So the example I always use is like, if I told you had to get into the ring with a heavyweight fighter in 5 minutes and you had no choice, you'd want to find everything you could find to pad yourself because you're like, this is going to hurt. So if you've been feeling that way in life lately, where it's like coming at you and pounding at you too much on too many different levels, then your body is not going to feel safe. And it's going to try to protect you and give you that space and that padding to keep those blows from coming. So I don't want to give you too many things. I think some of these other things might be more important, but it would be important you can just keep your eye on how you feel with that. And then continuously telling yourself that you have the right to create your own sense of safety and space is helpful. Shreya, figuring out a well-paying career for myself in a new country that I will be moving to soon. Oh, that's amazing. So Shreya, generally, here's what I would do. I would get up in the morning and start writing out things like what you genuinely want. Imagine if you were in a career that felt absolutely amazing to you, that was just like totally fulfilling, that just took all of your skill set and in the most beautiful way, that felt fully supportive, whatever it is that you're looking for. So I would write down all of the things you're looking for, and I would write the emotions down also that you want. And that is the list I would absolutely keep working on. Now, if you want to let me know a little bit more about what your general desires and goals are, that might help, and I can probably hone that a bit more for you. But in a very general way, I would write down your list of what do you genuinely want to have happen? What would be the absolute ideal job for you that would be, well paying and be fulfilling and meet whatever other demands that you want? And even as you're writing it down, you'll probably have a doubt like, could this possibly happen? And what I can tell you is there is infinite potential for every kind of thing. I have heard people who have the weirdest jobs I have ever heard in my life, and they are making good money at them. And it's like, that's a job. Like, it's just, people have things that you're like, really? Like, I was watching Dirty Jobs with my daughter, like reruns, whatever, the ones that are on Discovery Plus. And, he, of course, a lot of weird jobs, needless to say, but he went into like the Jelly Belly factory, where they make all the jelly beans of all the different flavors. And there's two guys that literally all they do is make the chemical compounds that taste like all these things. Like, that's a job. Like, they were making actually some very gross ones that are like the Harry Potter ones that I was like, oh, I can't even think about. I would be so grossed out. But like, that's a job, right? That's a job. They make a good living doing this super weird thing. So whatever it is that you want to be and do, there's the potential out there. So I want you to just like think about that, write that list down. And that's something you could future journal on every single morning. Like, I see myself doing this, feeling this way, having these experiences, this kind of job, right? And again, if you want to tell me a little more, I can definitely try to hone that a bit more and help you a bit more with that. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful. Again, I'm so sorry I didn't get an email or a post out earlier this week. So next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I probably will do a Thanksgiving. I might just do a meditation on Friday morning. We will be up in the mountains, so that'll be kind of pretty. And I might see if I can just do a meditation out in the, I might see if I can do a meditation like outside. That would be kind of amazing, depending on how cold it is. I don't know how cold it's going to be in the mountains, but that would be really pretty if I can pull that off. So that's going to be my goal. But in the meantime, in this week, for those of you that I've just tried to help with like the struggles, please give me feedback on like, did this make sense? And or if I had extra questions for you, if you can try to answer those, I can try to help more. And the last thing I want to tell you is, so coming up, now I've got a few people that came out of this group actually into the practitioner certification. I'm super excited about it. And I've been so excited to have people in there from this group. They're amazing. So wanted to tell you, keep your eyes out, because while the very discounted rate has ended, if you get into the certification starting now, if you're one of the first, or the next 6 people that get into the certification, I'm actually going to be giving you a 3-day luxury retreat here in the mountains with me. So it's like a several $1,000 retreat. So if you're interested in that, the retreat itself would be worth like the entire certification, although the certification is amazing. And so just keep your eyes out. I'll send some info about that as well, but I'm really excited about that. So that retreat will be happening in the spring. So it'll be particularly beautiful here, wildflowers, lots of just beautiful things. But if you're one of the next 6 people that actually signs up for the certification, then you will qualify and you will get a spot in this amazing retreat that I am pulling together just for those people. So I hope that is something that, if that's something you're interested in doing, I'd love to have you. So you can send me a direct message on that if that's something you're interested in. And I will just see you guys again next Friday for sure. And in the group, again, just let me know about any of these things. And in the meantime, have a wonderful week. I know that this week coming up is the holidays, so please pay attention. I'll put some info in here through the week on like how to pay attention to your triggers. And because the holidays can be very triggering. We can just have very specific things that have been set up for years and years and years. It's like, it's basically, we have traditions and rituals, like create these memory holograms that are basically triggers. And so we can have those, and it can cause a variety of reactions and feelings within ourselves and our bodies as we go into the holiday season, whatever holiday you happen to celebrate. So look in the group for that this week. I'll pop in some tips and tricks to be able to stay healthy and whole through this holiday season. All right, sending you guys all love. Thank you for being here today, and let me know in the comments about anything that I've just given you there. and if you can define a little bit more of that. So talk to you soon. Bye.